Okay, so yesterday we talked about modeling equations and we looked a little bit about how to solve them with models. Today we're going to look at solving equations algebraically using addition and subtraction. So the first thing I want you to look at is your notes. It tells you on here that addition and subtraction are inverse operations. Okay, so pretty much what one does, the other one can undo. Alright, so addition does it, subtraction undoes it. So if I gave you $5, that would be like adding 5. And if I subtracted $5, that'd be like taking it back away. Okay? The sum of any number and its opposite is 0. That's that additive inverse property we talked about. Okay? Because of that property, we can use addition and subtraction inverses to solve an equation. So, yesterday, we talked about this right here over and over. Alright? So if this was my equation, what do we want to do first? We want to isolate the variable. We want to get the x alone. Alright, now remember, I know we're doing really simple ones to start with, but that's so you get the steps down. And then you can solve the problem. Okay? Okay, so when you look at this, x plus 6 equals 10. You need to say, okay, I've got to get that x alone, I've got to isolate it, so what do I need to get rid of? So we need to get rid of that plus 6. Okay, so how do we do that? We're going to subtract 6 because subtraction is the inverse. Alright, so we're creating 0 pairs, we're just doing it with just numbers and not our pictures. So we're going to work on, I'm going to do some examples with you in a minute of lining these up. So if this is adding, you're going to do the opposite. So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. Okay, I want you to draw a line under that. And then here's how we're going to do it. 6 minus 6 is 0. So we can get rid of that because that's x plus 0. 10 minus 6 is 4. And then you just bring the x down and the equals down. Okay? Alright, so your answer is x equals 4. Okay, and we're going to work on boxing those in to make sure. But this is how I want you to show your work. Okay, yesterday we talked about a scale and how it's balanced. You have to do the same thing to both sides to keep it balanced. Alright, so 4 would be our answer. Alright, now remember, you can check it. Checking is going to be very important. You can check it by substituting a 4 for your x in the original equation and seeing if it works. So your original equation was x plus 6 equals 10. So we put a 4 where that x is, the answer we got, and we check, is 4 plus 6 equals 10? Yes. So that works your answer. Okay, I want you to get your journal now, and I want you to open to page 112. Okay. I want you to get some tape, and I want you to tape this paper to 112. Now, remember, this is a video, so you can pause it as you need to go get tape, and then to return the tape. So you are taping this paper to 112. Alright? 112. Alright, so do that, and then come back to the video. Alright, on page 113 in your journal, we're going to take some notes of some examples. So the first thing I want you to do to your 113 is fold it in half. Open it back up, draw you a line, just so we have some columns. Okay, and at the top put solving equations. Alright, and we're just going to do a bunch of examples. Alright, so I'll do some with you, and then I'm going to tell you to pause the video and do a few on your own to see if you've got it right. Alright, so first, if we have x plus 12 equals 43. First thing I want you to ask yourself is, what do I need to do? I need to get the x alone. I need to isolate the variable. So if you look on the side with the variable, we've got to get rid of that plus 12. So the first thing you think after that is, what's the opposite of adding 12? And that's subtracting 12. So we do the opposite operation, the inverse operation, but you have to do it on both sides. This is exactly how I want you lining up your problems. Okay, it really comes in handy when you get in higher grades when you have more than one step to do. So 12 minus 12, that's 0, so it goes away. 43 minus 12. Okay, you're going to get 21. So x equals 21. Box it in. Then I want you to check it. To check it, go back to your original problem, put a 21 there, and say, is 21, that should be a 31. See? I caught my mistake. Okay, see? I caught my mistake because I knew if I put a 21 there, it wouldn't be right. So it's supposed to be 31. Sorry, I'm trying to do this after school, and I just made a mistake. So 31. So now if we add 31 plus 12, that checks. See? I totally did that on purpose to show you the importance of checking your work. Alright, so let's try another one. Alright, we'll do a couple of adding ones and then we'll do a subtraction. Alright, let's say that I did x plus 30 equals 10. Again, I know you can do these simple ones in your head. I'm just trying to get the basics down for you. Okay? Alright, so what do you have to do? We have to isolate the variable. How do we do that? We've got to get rid of this 30. So this is an adding 30, so the opposite of that, or inverse of that, is subtract 30. You are going to subtract on both sides of your equal sign. Remember, it's like a balance. 30 minus 30 is 0, so we're going to cross that out. 10 minus 30, uh-oh, what did we get? Okay, we got a negative. Alright, so let's think about it. I did big number on purpose. 10 minus 30. Okay, sometimes it helps to write it like this. And then you can think about keep, change. This is somehow some of you do this. The answer's not positive 20. So you do, that's a negative. Signs are different, so you subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. So it's a negative 20. Now, let's check our work by taking that negative 20, plugging it in right there. Negative 20 plus 30. Does that make sense that we positive 10? Yes, it checks. Okay? Alright, let's do a subtraction one. If I have x minus 14 equals 12. Okay, first thing you ask yourself is what do I want to do? Okay, I need to isolate the variable. To do that, I need to get rid of whatever's on the side with the variable, so I've got to get rid of that negative 14. So you think, how do I get rid of that negative 14 with a positive 14? So you're going to add 14 on both sides. When you say negative 14 plus 14, they make a zero pair. Those are opposites. And then you add this side. You get x equals 26. Okay, box that in, but let's check it. If you plug a 26 where the x is 26 minus 14, 12. Yes, so it checked. Okay, now you're supposed to be taking these notes on page 113 in your journal. If you are not, you need to rewind the video and add them. They need to look just like mine. Okay, set up the same way. Alright, so say I have this one, x minus 23 equals 44. You want to isolate the x, so I need to get rid of the 23. So the opposite is to add 23. Those cancel each other out and makes a 0. These you're going to have to add. X equals 67. So if I put a 67 here, I'm using bigger numbers on purpose, so I want you having to double check your work. So if I need to go over here and do 67 minus 23 to check that I get 44, then that's okay. Alright, so I'm going to give you 4 more to do. I want you to copy the problems down first, and then I want you to pause the video and see if your answers match mine. Okay, so write these down first. Let's do Okay, so write those down, spread them out. Now pause the video, and when you come back, I will have the answers checking. But make sure you're slowing down. There's a couple of negatives in there. Okay, so on this one, you should have subtracted 14 on both sides. That goes away. X equals 6. So then you should have checked 6 plus 14 equals 20. Checking will definitely help you catch your mistakes. Okay, this one you should have subtracted 10 from both sides. Guys, I'm giving you negatives so that you're not scared later. 6 minus 10 is not 4. Okay, 6 is smaller than 10, so that is a negative 4. Those go away, so x equals negative 4. If you're getting your negatives wrong, when you check, you should see that. So if I would have accidentally put a positive 4 here and plugged that in on my x, I would get 14, and I know that was wrong. But if I put a negative 4 there and check it, I get my positive 6. So that checking can really catch you when you make a silly mistake or mess up with your negatives. Okay, this one was a subtraction, so you should have added 12 and added 12. Oh, I threw another negative at you. This still goes away, so you've isolated your variable. Negative 10 plus 12. When you have negatives, some of you, it's really going to help you to write it out side by side because that's how we've worked on them a lot. Okay, if that helps you, if you don't need to, that's fine. But negative 10 plus a positive 12 is positive 2. Again, if you get your negative wrong, if you will check it, you will catch your mistake. So I'm going to put a 2 here. 2 minus 12 is negative 10. If I had accidentally put 24 or something like that, I'm at 22, then you should be able to tell that 22 minus 12 is not negative. So that should catch your mistake. Alright, last one. Plus 10 plus 10. That goes away because it makes a 0 pair. So x equals 35. Alright, so make sure you've got all those in there. 35 if we were going to check it. 35 minus 10 is 25. Alright, now grab the student activity paper. If you don't have one, get one from the sub. And keep your journal out while you work, but we're going to do the student activity. Okay, so, sorry for the announcement. Get your student activity, put your date at the top, and put solving equations as your title. Alright, so let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. So, the inverse operation of addition is subtraction. Okay? Subtracting 6, I know there's not a whole lot of space there, so I'm going to write above it. Subtracting 6 will undo adding 6. So first it says to model, so we're going to model. You know I don't like modeling, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to draw our x plus 6. Okay, equals 11. Usually when I do this, I'll draw circles instead of squares because it's faster. And those are all positive, so you need to go back and put pluses because we're not taking the time to color them. Some people are okay leaving them blank and then just putting negatives on negatives. Alright, so to do this, you need to isolate your variable. So when you're modeling, you're going to have to add, okay, 6 of them, of negatives. I know them. And now that one goes away, that one goes away, those 3 and 3. And then over here you have to do the same thing. So you have to add 6 negatives. So then you can see if any goes away here. So those go away, those go away, those go away. We've got 1, 2, 3. So if you want to do it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You've got 5 left. So here's what I want you to do next. Okay, then I want us to solve it the way we just did in our notes. Okay, so I want you to rewrite the problem right here. And I want you to solve it algebraically. Okay, so we've got to isolate the variable, so we've got to get rid of that positive 6 by minus 6. That goes away. 11 minus 6 is 5, so x equals 5, and then we could always check it. 5 plus 6 equals 11. Okay, so we're going to work on both ways. Alright, problem 2. Model x minus 4 equals 2. So we're going to model it here. I'm going to make it a little neater this time, sorry. So here's my x, and minus 4 equals positive 2. Okay. So to get that x alone, we've got to get rid of those 4 negatives, and we can do that with 4 positives. Sometimes it's better to do this in 2 different colors. So we're adding 4 positives to this side, so we have to add 4 positives to this side. You have to do the same thing to both sides. Okay. Now we go back and say, okay, make sure that this canceled out so you only have an x. There's nothing to cancel out over here. So this would be our answer, 6 positives. Okay, so now we're going to do it algebraically. So go over here, x minus 4 equals 2. And I want you to solve it algebraically. So x minus 4 equals 2. We want to isolate the x. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. Alright, this goes away. 2 plus 4 is 6. X equals 6. So see, we got the same answer. You can double check it to make sure it makes sense. Checking will save you. Alright. Now on the bottom it says to create an equation using addition or subtraction that would have a solution of 7. Okay, so it says use algebra tiles. We're not giving those out, obviously. So we need something done with x. Okay, so let's just make an addition one and a subtraction one. And you can do your own if you want. But let's say I said x plus 4 equals something. And I want x to be 7. So I'm just going to pretend there's a 7 there. And say 7 plus 4 equals 11. And you just made an equation with a solution of 7. Okay, let's do a subtraction one. Alright, let's say I want to do x minus 5 equals something. And I want that to be a 7. 7 minus 5 equals 2. So we just made equations. Alright, put this in your student activity section. And then follow the subs instructions. Your other things, you're going to work on your homework in class today. And you have some things to do online.